This is the TSG Multimedia podcast, bringing you the best train, model railroad, and historic preservation news, updates, and information since 2010. We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon and by ModelRailroadControlSystems.com, Electronics for Operations, and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm John, and this month marks the beginning of our 16th continuous year of monthly podcasts, bringing you the best train and model railroad-related content. Since it's January again, we'll be recapping some of the highlights from 2024. To make things even better, I've linked all the related videos in the description of this podcast below. So let's get started. January of 2024 saw the last ever day visiting the Fern Creek and Western Garden Railroad in Santa Cruz. We spent about 10 years covering that railroad and saw it go through many changes over the years, the final iteration being an operations-based layout. In February, the main highlight was the Layout Design and Operations Weekend, which was held in Santa Rosa. Sydney and I volunteered to put on the virtual portion of that event, and we're doing it again this year. I'll be talking about that more later in the program. March marked the 100th birthday of 2662T Clover Valley No. 4 at the Niles Canyon Railway, and we went to document the event they put on for it. It was a rainy day with lots of great steam action. We also had a chance to finally go to Tilden Park and see the Redwood Valley Railroad for the first time last March. That was especially great since I had been wanting to get up to see that place for many years. We also took a trip to Sacramento to document the Sacramento Model Railroad Historical Society layout. This is a club in Sacramento that has an ops-based CTC layout and even has a functioning original Western Pacific CTC machine. To round out the month, we documented Steve Van Meter's excellent N-scale layout. In April, the SBHRS had its annual Spring Open House. As usual, Sydney volunteered while I covered the event for YouTube, and we saw lots of friends. We went to the West Side Reunion and Sierra Seminar in the middle of the month, and then wrapped up with the PCR's annual convention, for which we produced the entire virtual side of that event. May's highlights included documenting two layouts that had been on my radar for years, Mike Laine's Virginia and Truckee layout and David Park's Cumberland West. The former Southern Pacific Coyote Depot was moved to History Park in May, providing another opportunity to document the preservation of another important historic artifact. In addition to that, the Society for the Preservation of Carter Railroad Resources held their annual event, Rail Fair, at Ardenwood. And we also went to the Central Coast to check out the Best of the West event at Santa Margarita Ranch. All in all, May was a very busy month, but only the beginning of what would become an even busier summer. June saw our first ever op session at Steve Van Meter's N-scale layout in Alameda, as well as the Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet, which we hadn't been to since before the pandemic. Also, Shakalaka Bro Alvin came out to visit for a few days before we embarked on the first epic trip of the year to Oregon. This epic trip actually bridged June and July. While we were there, we documented Gary Lee's Baker and Grand Ronde Railroad, as well as a whole lot of action on the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad out in the Garibaldi area. On our way back, we stopped in at Microtrains to take a look at their factory in Talent, Oregon, and make a video about how models are made. That video went semi-viral, and it's worth a look if you haven't seen it. We hosted a longtime viewer and Catch of the Month contributor, Lucas Woodward, for a day or two in early July as he was completing his own epic North American train journey. And the very next week, we went to witness Union Pacific's 4014 Big Boy as it traversed Donner Pass on its way back to Wyoming. Which brings us to the second epic trip of the year. a 7-day jaunt out to the Salt Lake City area to catch the big boy again, and also to document 4 layouts. That entire trip was extremely busy with more highlights than I can count here, so I'd just highly recommend watching the podcast from August. It's well worth it. In August, we had a chance to document 2 more layouts in our area, again, layouts that had been on my radar for quite some time. John Petrovich's N-Scale Masterpiece in South San Francisco, and the West Bay Club in Menlo Park. Additionally, I went to hang out with my friend Kevin to make some progress on the ongoing garden-scale Climax project I have been working on. While there, we chased some trains, and that's always fun. Toward the end of the month, Sydney and I went to the Santa Clara Interlocking Tower to document some of the last runs of Caltrain's diesel motive power between San Jose and San Francisco. September saw the documenting of yet another layout. This time, it was John Zock's Sierra Railroad in 1955. I had documented this layout in the past, but never felt completely satisfied with how that video turned out, so it was great to take our time and do a better job this time around. While in the area, we also attended and documented the first ever Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association's field trip event that was held on Table Mountain. That same weekend, I was also able to help with the San Benito Southern's Open House event in Hollister, which has become quite a tradition. The weekend of September 21st and 22nd marked the official transition of Caltrain's service between San Jose and San Francisco from diesel to electric, and that weekend was spent thoroughly experiencing that transition. First on Saturday with an event at the Santa Clara Depot, and then again on Sunday with a ride all the way to San Francisco and back with some friends. In October, we traveled to Paso Robles and stayed with friends to document a bunch of open layouts during the Central Coast Railroad Festival. While there, we documented the layout in the San Luis Obispo Southern Pacific Freight House, another layout that has been on my radar for at least a couple years now. We also started the long process of cataloging the artifacts at the SBHRS. This is an ongoing project that may take years to finish, but an important one nonetheless. In November, we helped at the SBHRS Fall Open House event, and also went to the open house at Silicon Valley Lines, and 2 op sessions. And that brings us up to December. All right, so today is something that we've been planning for a few months now, and that is an op session here at the Rawhide and Duct Tape for people who are new to ops. This is something that Dave and Charlie and Sydney and I think, mostly have been thinking about doing, because it's hard to get into operations if you don't know anybody in the area. So we put the word out to see if there was anybody interested at SBHRS and a few other places to see if people would like to come try ops, or try ops on a layout they haven't operated on. And we have, I think, 6 or maybe 7 new operators in the layout here. It's pretty exciting, and I'm really glad that we're able to do this. So thanks, Dave. And we'll have some, I think, thoughts about this as the day rolls on.
My usual speech is have fun, go to work, have fun. You guys need a little more than that. So, okay, you know the bathrooms, the refrigerators, and stuff is?
The important stuff.
Right. It's an operating layout. It's built for education. You're going to learn something. Fellowship. You're going to laugh at each other. You're going to have fun. Yeah, don't abuse the equipment. Don't throw things on the floor. Don't pick it up and shake it. But I got a whole box of parts that have fallen off cars because people hit the wheel and it falls off. The brake wheel falls off. I'll show you the box. You can have fun looking at them. The Minions red tags are here to help you use their wisdom and their experience. And give them what it's worth. They're paid employees. They are paid employees. So
Yeah, you're getting what you pay for.
We're paid in donuts.
no, the check's in the mail. As soon as it starts making a profit, we're going to pay people. So far, we found a nickel on the floor. That's the income we've got so far.
Thanks, boss.
Let's see. Also, having a non-dispatch thing gives you a little more time to relax. You can walk around. You can count the minions, find the tiki gods, look for the hidden dinosaur, all those important things. Jobs and assignments. Okay, we have three types of jobs. One is yard work. The second is local switching, where you take a train out of the yard, you go to a town, usually one, sometimes two, you switch and come back. The third one is we call a run through. That has limited switching. So if you're not used to switching, that could be a first job. A lot of times you run the whole layout.
Charlie's one of our new operators.
Mr. Saddest here.
What are you doing there, Charlie?
I'm re-railing because a doofus ran a switch.
Which doofus was it?
It would happen to be me.
Oh,
Because I wasn't paying attention.
that's a good one, too. You had a whole bunch of stuff going on.
This is not a cab forward. This is a cab on the road.
It's a cab ground cab.
Yeah.
See, just so you know, these things right here, they have a red on one side and they have a green on the other side, and that helps you understand which way it's thrown.
Yeah, I know. And you know what really helps set the direction is my middle finger.
What does that look like?
Not when you're filming.
Go forward. That's great. Oh, is the meat market open today? Should be.
Well, it's a bit later. It's after lunch now, and they're in the second half of the session. It seems like everybody who's visiting here for the first time is having a great time. And interestingly, I got to do a job that I've never done before, which is a kind of a yard job. And it's been a lot of fun so far. So I was not needed to help the new people and learn something new myself, which is great, because then I'm figuring out how to do stuff that I didn't know how to do before. And we'll be able to hopefully help in yards henceforth. So it's all good all the way around.
Because the thing was we found out those belong right here, right? If you pull ahead, I can.
Charlie, are you having another problem? What happened here?
It's the same one over and over.
What is it?
This is what happens when you're BSing and then you forget to throw a switch.
Oh, so it was a busy crew.
The hand of God.
That's what BS means, busy, right? Busy. Yeah.
Where's TT track?
Yeah. So I'm here at the event that John helped set up and I helped set up for newbies. I have a lot of passion for getting new people in the hobby. I was like 22, 23 when I started operating, which was a few weeks ago. And getting new people in is good. And this has been a great day. We've had 5-6 new people. They haven't operated. I think some hadn't operated ever before. We gave them tough jobs. They handled it. They learned stuff, and everybody had a blast. And I hear people saying, "Can I come back?" What else could you ask for? So thanks for setting it up, John, and let's do it again.
I'm Joshua Bragg. I'm from San Jose. I tend to be a South Bay guy, but I came here and I really did enjoy playing more Steam. I had so much fun here. I'm probably going to have to get Steam myself. I love running the reefer blocks, the turn jobs. It's a lot what you see in modern, but a little more simplified and a lot easier to understand.
Hi, Matt Conrad, San Jose area. I guess for my first time doing an op session ever, this has been the best experience I've ever had, especially with the top layer being the Del Monte line. I have a special connection to that line because my dad's parents grew up. Actually, my dad himself grew about 3 miles up from the Salinas River Trestle. So Del Monte, special place in my heart. I hope to come back and run this layout sometime. But other than that, it's been a good experience. If you ever get invited to come to this layout, say yes, because you will never forget the experience.
I'm Colby, I'm from San Jose, and operating here was rather fun. I've done some operational stuff before, mostly on narrow gauge layouts, but what was interesting is this was my first time with like a functional yard and a whole bunch of different operations at the same time, so it made it really interesting. I also used one of my own engines, which was kind of interesting to run on a layout of mostly steam to have a bright orange Baldwin Western Pacific unit sticking out, but it was fun overall, and I rather a lot enjoyed it.
I'm Madeline Abaticola. I'm from San Jose. And I've only operated twice now. This is my second time. And I really liked operating here because I feel like it's beginner friendly. At least there are jobs that are beginner friendly. Especially for someone like me who doesn't know much about operating or trains at all. So I think it was still fun.
We've just finished the op session. The layout's turned off, and I'm standing here with Ben that you've seen on the podcast at least once before. I think when Lucas Woodward was out here from Australia, he appeared momentarily.
Yeah.
But we know each other from the South Bay Historical Railroad Society, where Sydney and I volunteer. And when we were starting to get an idea of doing this newbie op session, I contacted Ben and said, hey, do you know some guys from SBHRS who might be interested? And that's who came today, mostly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what about you? Did you have fun, or what did you think about it?
I really did enjoy myself. It's Dave's layout here. It's great. It's got a lot of potential for operations, switching, even just run through power. I really enjoyed myself with the couple jobs I did. Started out switching Gilroy, ran the sugar beet loads, the sand train, and then I got mostly done with my Pacific Grove turn. But for a first op session on a layout like this, it was a lot of fun. Dave, Mark, Charlie, John, thank you for having me. Thank you for having the rest of the guys from South Bay here. Dave, Mark, and Charlie, great hosts, great mentors for getting into operations. They really did explain everything phenomenally, so we really didn't have any issues getting to know what we wanted to do, what had to be done, and where stuff went and how to operate the layouts. So it was a great time, and I would definitely look forward to coming back and operating here again.
What I'm hearing was it was a success, because everything that he just said is really what we wanted to have happen here. So thanks for helping get the other guys here.
Of course. Thank you for involving me in this.
And thanks to Dave, especially, for having all of us.
Absolutely.
Should be over there. We had a bunch of newbies here today. And they had fun.
That's true. Yeah.
Totally destroyed the layout, but they had fun. No.
They didn't destroy the layout.
No.
Things went well, I think. Everybody getting help right when they needed it. There were enough mentors in place, and Dave's always great about going around and helping people anyway. So, yeah, great time. It looked like everybody had smiles on. They were having fun. So
We need more.
success. We need to do it again.
Do we need to do it again?
Yeah.
Sure.
Where did we put the What? Marine, you can go on any train up the hill, so I put it on a...
On the 18th, we went live with December's Talking Trains show. This was a special one because it was the first time we've had 3 co-hosts here at the Intergalactic headquarters. I was joined by Murph and Seth Newman to talk to Stephen Priest about how models are made. This was a great show that absolutely is worth checking out on the replay if you missed us live.
Hi, we've been a little bit late in December, thank goodness. It's time to have a little break once in a while. But today we have an op session that we're going to. This is at Ted Stevens, Ohio and Little Kanawha Railroad. You can see a video layout tour of that railroad here on the channel. I will put a link in the description of this podcast for you if you'd like to see it. And this is kind of a sad op session because not only is it probably our last op session of the year, but it may be the last time we get to operate on this layout because it's going to be going away soon, as a lot of layouts seem to be doing right now. So we're going to go in and run the op session. I may have some comments during the op session if I see something interesting that I want to share with you.
Look dispatchery.
Dispatchery. Uh-oh. He may want to use this photo, so I won't.
Pretend like you're yelling at people out there. The signal's been green for 5 minutes.
I apparently either became famous or infamous from that video you did at the Cal Central.
This is kind of cool. We're working an area on this layout called Roncevert. And it's a really cool little switching district. But it's also kind of tight. So we have to really plan our moves well. And to make things even more interesting, we have mainline trains coming by, or at least one, dropping stuff off here. So it's going to add something to our problems. It's pretty fun. Yes, this is what we call fun. So this is an area of the layout that we have clearance to called St. Albans. And you'll notice that the signals on the track there are lit up. And they've been turned so that the operators can see them, which is a really smart idea. So if you're building a layout, this is something really, I think, smart to consider. And here we are, stopped at the red. And now it's green, so we can go.
So yeah, minus 36 up, so you're going to be getting everything back. It would be nice sometimes to run that, but it just goes back to the...
Wow. I'm lucky when this is
I just back in.
Was this your train?
No, this is
That's your train. No. Okay, so these were set out so these need to be picked up. Okay, and then these go to the hole, so we need to flip these.
This is a little while later, and we're breaking for lunch here. Sydney and I have done one job, and we got started on a second job here, switching job. The first one was the switching job, too. It was very interesting. But this is really starting to become real to me, that this is the last time we're going to be able to operate here. And it really sucks, because this is just, besides being one of the most beautiful layouts in the area, it's also a lot of fun to operate on. One of the cool things about doing jobs on this layout is there's plenty of traffic. So as we're switching this area that we're working in, we'll get mainline traffic like this train coming through. And it's fun just to stop and watch it go by.
I noticed the last two cars end up going to here for
Look, we had a little problem here. That was probably the engineer's fault. Richard, what did you do?
I don't know.
This is the coal train that was on coal.
Where's the frame right or originate and the offer does not go in between that? Should be clear as that and see. Can you come back to me that? So you know to go in just to have your caboose. Yeah. Right past the red line.
We're done switching this area and heading back to the yard. It's kind of a cool little switching area here. It's called Marlinton. And you can see there's a lot of good variety of facing point and trailing point interest here. So we're on to our third job. I think it's the third job. So this is probably going to be the last one. And I wanted to make sure to take a video of the train crossing this bridge, because this bridge, Ted told me, is his favorite bridge on the entire layout.
So this shot's for you, Ted. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see this.
Yeah, I prefer those three. I forget what they called it, but it was a Santa Fe line that came out of Bakersfield, ran up the east side. I think originally it was on Santa Fe track, in later years they shared it just be on quite a distance. And the crews almost never got their work done. They got, I guess that line is gone now.
Something else that's really cool is this building. It's one of Ted's best models, I think, on the entire layout. Because if you look, you can see, I'm just going to move those out of the way, but you can see that the entire interior of this building is finished. And it's a machine shop, so there's all kinds of really cool stuff in there. And so, yeah. This has also become one of my favorite structures on the layout, too, because of that.
Well, yeah, as I build my layout, I need to figure out what my scheme is going to be. So the more I see, the more I can figure things out.
All right, so that's it from Ted Stevens, Ohio, and Little Kanawha. You can see the layout behind me is off, and we're done, and that may be the last run of this railroad. So signing off, sadly.
So I've been thinking about that op session and Ted's layout for the past week or two, and I want to take a minute to thank Ted for always being welcoming, and also Earl for inviting us to the op sessions at Ted's layout. We'll definitely miss seeing Ted smile and operating on such a fun and beautiful layout. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate having been included over the past couple of years. I am coming to you from the TSG Intergalactic Headquarters this morning, and I'm really excited because about a month from now, we're going to be doing something called the SIG Meet. That's what we refer to it as. And I have someone on the line that I'm going to bring up right now, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the SIG Meet. So let me bring him up. Hello, Cliff. Welcome back.
Hey, John. How are you? Good to see you today.
Yeah, I'm about the same as I was last time we talked, I think.
Yeah.
Glad that you're back.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, same to you. I mean, who knew? It's 2024 is already gone. It just flies by so fast.
Yeah. I hope Santa left you some trains under the tree for you.
Well, usually not. And this year was no exception.
Okay.
But I'm sure next time I see you, we'll be talking about all the great presents we got, or more importantly, all the great presents we gave.
You bet.
Which is really what this little podcast segment is about, because we're going to talk about something we're doing to give to the modeling community.
Oh, absolutely. It's really fun and kind of a low key, or shall we say relaxed event. It's the Pacific Coast Region's Special Interest Group meeting, talking about layout design and model railroad operations. This is a great forum for people who are interested in getting into both of these aspects of the hobby. The layout design will help you to build your own model railroad that operates in a more prototypical and satisfactory, what's is most important, in a satisfactory manner. And then the other part of it is operations, and you can learn how trains run in a prototypical manner. And it's a great chance to interact with other modelers and get to know them and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think the first SIG meet that I attended was in Petaluma. I think it was 2018. And even if you're not into designing or not planning a layout, it can still be very fascinating because of all the stuff that goes into designing a layout. You could learn a lot because there can be a lot of research into prototype history. There's a lot of planning that goes on to make sure that things will work. So to me, that thought process is what makes it fascinating. And then of course the fun of the op sessions. So it's a stimulating event to say the least.
Yeah. Let me just build on to some of the things that you were just saying, because on Saturday, February the 1st, up at the California State Railroad Museum in Sacramento, that's where we're having our day-long program. And we'll have a series of presentations. And we have a group from the closer in on the Bay Area. They're, I think, predominantly in Contra Costa and Alameda County, but they're building a modular layout representing the San Ramon Valley branch of the Southern Pacific, which ran from Avon all the way down to Pleasanton, California. They're building this on a modular basis. So this is something that are very manageable layout components that even somebody who doesn't have a large amount of space could put together for themselves, and they could start to build a skill set for modeling. And they will bring a couple of their modules. So this is not just an abstract lecture that they're going to be giving, but you can come down and you can take a look at the modules and get a chance to talk to some of the members of the group and find out what's really going on. And then one of our other presenters is a gentleman named Gene Harmon, who used to work for the Southern Pacific. And he's going to talk about, let me just get my notes here, when the railroad designed some service to carry paper products for Crown Zellerbach, which is a big paper supplier to printing houses. And it was talking about how they were utilizing their equipment to make a profit for the railroad. But it's interesting to apply this to the model railroad side, because this will really drive some of the ideas that a model railroad owner might put into place as they're designing operation to make it interesting for them or for anybody else who's happening to come visit.
It's interesting you should mention that. Two things I want to mention here, Cliff. First off, I don't know if you know this, but I did a layout video of the San Ramon Valley Branch Modular Group. Great group of guys. What I'll do is I'll put a link to that video so people can see what they've done. I think it's really interesting because they did use prototype plans to build their layout modules, which, you can do that, which is really cool, which ensures two things. One, it's accurate, which is what they're trying to do as a historic representation of what was there. But the other thing is, if you want to run operations like in an op session on it, if you design after the prototype, it'll work because it worked on the prototype.
Right.
That's one of the simple but profound things I've learned being around these op guys and LD layout design guys is do what the prototypes do, because the railroads don't create problems. They create solutions. And if you design your layout based on what a real railroad does, it's going to work, because they're not there to try to make things hard for their operators. They want to make it, as streamlined as possible to save on labor costs.
Yeah.
This is something that's happening in person in Sacramento, and it's also happening virtually. But let's cover the in-person just briefly. Friday, I think, is really the start, right?
There's going to be an afternoon tour at the museum in Sacramento. It's actually called the California State Railroad Museum. And they're going to have a tour of the magic of scale model railroading at the gallery there at the museum. This will be the first time I've ever seen it.
Oh, you're in for a treat, Cliff. It's a really good exhibit.
Oh, yeah. Then there's a group dinner Friday night. And then Saturday, kicking off at 8:45 in the morning with the program, but doors open at 8:30. Will be a day-long program, which includes everything from presentations from model railroaders. We'll have a layout design challenge and presentations on that. We're going to have a switching puzzle, and we have the switching puzzle setup available on the registration website. But if you come, whether you're virtually or whether you're attending in person, you will get to see how our group of experts decided to solve this puzzle. Maybe you have a different solution to the puzzle, better, worse, whatever. But we're interested to get some of your feedback. And then we're going to have an operations challenge where we'll set up a scenario and we'll give you some rules that real railroaders would have in hand. And you're going to have to try to figure out, all right, if I'm out here on the main line or a branch line operating my train or switching industries, what do I have to do when another train comes along? You know, how do I make sure that we operate in a safe manner? So those are some of the things that we're going to be doing. And then there will also be what we call birds of a feather, which is an opportunity for people who have common interests to get together. Usually they chit chat over lunch, and then we're back at it for the afternoon. And usually by about 5 o'clock, everything's wrapped up. We'll have a couple of door prizes for people. And as you may or may not be aware, John, everybody who registers for this event, whether they're virtual or in person, gets a 10% discount code for Precision Model Railroad, which is a maker of kit benchwork, which is very easy to put together, and you can do this. So that's kind of my plug for the day. Hope everybody is interested and can come and join us.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Now, that's the Friday and Saturday, which really covers what we're doing for the virtual event as well.
Right.
Virtually on Friday, we're going to have the virtual check-in, which is where virtual attendees get to sign into the meeting that we're running to present the information. And it's a great chance to not only sign in and understand how to get around online in this virtual space that we're creating, but it's also a great chance to meet some of the other attendees that are going to be there, because it's really cool. You'll find someone from somewhere else completely who has the same interest as you. So you might make a new friend in Canada, eh?
Yeah,
or you might make a new friend, in Australia or someplace, because we get people attending from all over. The reason we get people attending from all over is because it's virtual, right? And you don't have to be a member of anything. You just have to register and go. It's a really great way to meet people with common interests and socialize without having to leave your house. The socializing from the comfort of your easy chair is like one of the things I like to say about it. After the check-in, Saturday morning, we're going to have all of the, what I call clinic day. All that content is going to go out as well on the virtual space. And the really cool thing is that we're recording all this. So even if you sign up and can't go on Saturday to the main event, if you will, you can still get the benefit of watching all of that content post-event. And I think that's a cool thing that, I don't know. I mean, we've been doing these virtual events for a while now and have had a lot of feedback to attendees, and we're trying to implement everything that we get feedback on to make it as good of an event as possible. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And then, as you mentioned, on Sunday, for those who are attending in person, a number of local layouts, model railroad layouts, are going to be open and offering operating sessions for some of the attendees. So it'll be a chance, if you've never operated before, to see what the experience is like, or even if you have operated before, maybe it's a chance to see a layout that you've never seen before and have a chance to operate on them, or meet some new friends. Just have a nice, relaxing time with everybody.
Yeah. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that Saturday evening, and correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there going to be layouts open for people to just go look at? I think that's cool.
I always overlook that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's another great way to go visit some of the layouts. It's kind of an interesting thing because the layout tours are an opportunity to kind of take a look under the hood, as it were. I mean, if you want to crawl on the floor and look up and see how somebody did the wiring, or see how they bolted or screwed their benchwork together, maybe see what the underside of the scenery looks like, ask a zillion questions of the layout owner or any of their helpers that they have there. It's a great way to just kind of build on anything that you might have already learned from earlier in the day, but in a much more intimate one-on-one type of setting. And you can have a chance to, learn some more stuff.
Yeah. Best practices are always best when they're shared, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. And really that's what the entire event is about. It's about sharing best practices. What I was struck by at a lot of these events that I've been to over the past several years is that it's not just someone doing a clinic with all of the ideas, but some of the comments and questions that come from the audience are so insightful that you can learn a lot just from those.
Oh, yeah.
Which is especially cool. And the other really cool thing, at least for the virtual attendees, is during what I call clinic day, that's the Saturday where all that clinic content is, presented, is that you have a chance as a virtual attendee to ask questions also, because we're sitting in the room as it's happening and there's something called a chat going on in the virtual meeting. And if you post a question there, Sydney usually is the one, she'll raise her hand and she will ask your question live to the presenter who's standing up there doing the presentation. And you can get your comments and questions considered that way too. So we've really worked hard to make this as interactive as possible for the virtual attendees. So it's a great way to get the experience without having to go anywhere, especially if you're, tied up at home with other things, whatever that may be.
Sure.
We got to tell people how to register, I think, Cliff. And so the website is www.bayldops.com, all squashed up together, one word.
Yes.
And the registration in person, I believe, is $45. And the registration for the virtual is only $20. Probably the best $20 you'll spend in the entire year of 2025.
It's a great way to kick off the Model Railroad New Year.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, Cliff. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
All right. So bayldops.com. Go sign up today. We'll see you at the event or on the virtual event. And now for the catch of the month. This time we're fortunate to have a nice little video put together by Lucas Woodward. These are EMD locomotives being used in Australia on a Southern Short-Haul Railroad grain train in October of 2022. During a crew change at Junee in southern New South Wales, we take a look in the cab of ex-Victorian Railway's C-Class locomotive C501 with driver Kev Schultz, notching the EMD 645 prime mover up for the camera. With a fresh crew, the grain train departs Junee with locomotives CLF-1, 44-223, C501, and CLF-2. CLF-1 was seriously damaged in a railroad crossing collision in March of 2023 and has not yet been repaired. If you have a catch you'd like to share, please send it to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the shots and tell us the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. Now, before we wrap things up, I need to tell you about one more event that I'm working on. Now, we already heard from Cliff about the Layout Design and Operations Meet, which happens at the end of this month and is available to anyone with an internet connection anywhere in the world. But there's also another event that will be available virtually about a month and a half later. That's the Pacific Coast Region's annual convention. It's similar in the respect that it's a hybrid event, meaning it's in-person and virtual. And it's similar in that you don't have to be a member of anything to join us virtually. You can use the code PCR2025 to get a $10 discount off the virtual admission price, making it only $30. Now, neither one of these events is a money-making endeavor. That's not the goal. The goal is to grow the tent and share a great hobby with as many people as possible. So please sign up today and join us. You'll have a great time and you'll get to meet a lot of very cool and interesting people while you're at it. Once again, I would like to thank all of our great supporters and viewers. Without you, creating the content you enjoy on this channel would not be possible. If you're able, join us on the TSG train crew at patreon.com/TSG Multimedia. Supporters get weekly behind-the-scenes updates as well as sneak peeks, sometimes months ahead of the public release. I've made it easy to help out in other ways too, so please take a look at this video's description and think about helping us make the content you enjoy. Finally, I want to wish everyone the best possible 2025. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
TSG train crew members get behind-the-scenes access and ad-free sneak previews in 4K ultra high definition. Go to www.patreon.com/TSG Multimedia for more information.